So about a half an hour ago, right here in this very section, I filmed what a real contrail and a real plane looks like. And I had to water my flowers. I've been loading stuff on the computer and doing things around my house in that half hour. And when I showed you in the video, right around here, that little plane, it looked like it was trail was about that long. You could barely see it. You're gonna have to probably put it to a large screen and look in the center there to see it. Well, here's what happened in a half hour. I pointed to the mountains. I said, it looks like they were spraying towards the mountain there. I didn't see any planes, but I could tell what a chemtrail cloud looks like. So look at what it's done in the last half hour. I mean, look at this. Now, remember I told you, that plane, okay, see, these are going like that. This plane was going a slightly different angle that way. These are going more on a long distance angle. And again, planes don't fly one by one, passing each other in different directions, from like that. And look what that did to the sky compared to what that other plane did. Look at all those. And in a half an hour. Look at that. A half hour. And look at this. I'm going to go on the other side of my balcony to show you. A half hour. Now that I'm going to put, so I made a chemtrail video on the 4th. Then I just did this video 30 minutes ago to show you a regular plane. Now I'm putting this under there. I just want to awaken people. Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy freak. Like, they're poisoning the whole world and they have the antidote. That's not what I feel it is. I think they really think they're trying to stop global warming and stuff like that. But I also think that they're trying to reflect the energy of the sun. Because I feel consciousness and genetic coding and evolution happens with the magnetic fields and the light within our own bodies and the energy of the earth and the core of the earth as well. And the sun changes its magnetic field, the earth changes, we change. And I think we go through evolutionary leaps, and at times those leaps are really quick. That's why there's never a missing link. Sorry about that, there's never like a missing link. We sort of just branch off and boom, everybody sort of makes a jump to a slightly better version of us. I really feel like that's what's going on. So I think on the highest level, I think that's what might be happening. And then at their scientific level, which doesn't make any sense, because if you think about it, this is a lower atmospheric thing. So the heat that's already coming from the earth and going through this is getting stuck in between. So that would actually make it warmer. And they're trying to reflect it back out. And then you think how many thousands, let's say 10,000 planes all over the world a day are doing this. And that's all their rocket fuel that they're burning up the atmosphere anyway with pollution and global warming, right? And then you have the regular planes. Then you have the people like Musk who shoots up rockets seemingly like every day, shooting up rockets and satellites. So it kind of goes against their whole strategic plan. But I just want to show you this mess today. Like, man, this happened faster than it normally does. And of course, there's wind today too. So over here, where they usually have the V down the valley there, it's never really much over this way. It's always here and all there. Although they do behind me and they do the mountain as well. So you can see it's still not so bad here, but there's where they start. Oh, here's a guy right there, flowing. Can't really make him out because of the sun, but you can see how big and wide this is. Usually they start over by the mountain and they come over my house and then they head towards the mountain range out there. I think this time they started at the mountain range and headed this way. But you can see that. So like I said, I think there's various degrees of what's going on. But if you want to block out the sun's radiation from affecting the earth, and plus the earth makes its own heat and radiation, and you're going to actually cause a layer where it's going to stay there and make it more warm and everything. And I think this is the reason over the last 20 years that you've seen massive weather changes. I think droughts are caused by this stuff and all kind of erratic weather. Now the planet's going through its own process, and it's a natural process. So when a natural process is happening and then you do something like this, you're bound to make something bad happen. And for those of you that might come across this video, which, I don't know how many people will actually see this, but you have to remember the ancient people and the people who know the esoteric knowledge and wisdom, stuff that's hidden from the masses, they don't do things just for one reason. They always have many reasons and layers to do it. It doesn't matter if it's something positive and beautiful like they did at one time in Egypt and all around the world with the pyramids and everything. and the temples, or if it's like some kind of darker agenda, they never just say and do it for one reason. And you have to remember, it's a spiritual science. I know today we see things as mostly just science and then religion is some other thing. No, they do things for a spiritual science. And you can probably classify this as a spiritual science. Man, this is a mess today. Because they say they'll do it for one reason, but on a spiritual level, it's probably most likely done for another reason. Why else would you block out the sun during this time? People have awakened to the things that I'm speaking about, not just like chemtrails or the government's corrupt and all that kind of stuff, but speaking out against, like, awakening to things like, wow, we have a light within us, we have a soul essence, we have multidimensional realms of consciousness and beings that live there. Things of that nature. Near-death experience, people know these kind of things too. I know it. I didn't die, but I just knew it from experiences, what I went through. So, back in the ancient days, real briefly, if they built something for, I would call it spiritual power, because to me it's one and the same. On our planet, we always separate everything. Spiritual is one thing, physical science power is another, but really the ancients did it as one. So for instance, like if the pyramids were built to be energy generators that worked off of, let's say, some electromagnetic energy and vibration of the planet's field, and they have like sound resonating chambers, and sound and light, we know in a scientific way, are really one and the same when you think about it. They come from the same source of vibration. So when you think about sound, light, vibration, electromagnetic fields and stuff, and a big power generator and a grid all over the world, you can say, well, why did they have that? And yada, yada, yada. Well, you can say a lot of things. Why do we have what we have now? As above, so below, as within, so without. Whatever we do now, we pretty much do what we did in the ancient times. We just do it a totally different way, and we do it with more of a harmful technology, things that corrode, things that manipulate and interfere with our natural rhythms of our brain, and with our energy fields. So, you can say the pyramids, maybe they upheld consciousness. They gave physical energy power, with the obelisk and the temples. Everything resonated. That's why it was made out of stone. So it all resonated to the earth and to the cosmos, above, below, within, without. And then you also have the fact that, probably maybe it maintained at one time a peaceful paradise-like atmosphere and weather patterns and stuff like that. So you got the spirit science of those different reasons that it was. Energy, power, light, consciousness, maintaining a, they call it ley lines, or I think they call it telluric currents of energy, stuff like that. So you have to remember that kind of thing. You can't think of it separately. You have to think of it as one to truly understand it. And if you have never experienced it within, and you don't really understand energy fields, energy centers, that we have light within us, and consciousness is what makes us animated and stuff like that, then you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. You're just going to be like, oh my God, they're spraying this and they're going to kill people with poisons and this and that. Like, no, you got to think way more than that of what's going on. The Earth's natural cycles. You have to think about evolution. You have to think about the sun and what the sun's going through. Do you ever even notice that for like 10 plus years the sun is white now and not yellow? Used to be like yellowish gold, slight orange. Now it's white. Well, most people don't even look up, so they don't know what the sun looks like. They don't even know what this stuff is in the air. It's white. You might see the tiniest yellow. Now, how do I know this? Because I've had my own experiences, internal and external. And it all comes from white light. You'll see white light first, and then you'll see slight yellowish. That's what you see. Well, that's what I saw. Some people say, oh, my energy centers are this color and that color. Well, okay, then make them all white and gold, because that's what they're supposed to be. And the more pure you are, and the more aware you are, and the more you help others, and the more you love, and the more you live a good lifestyle, you look like that. And we're supposed to reflect the change of our Earth, our planet, and our sun's evolution. Okay, it has a magnetic field. It's shifting. It goes from solar minimum to solar maximum. Our planet's field right now, over the last 100 years, science has said that it lost 10 to 15% of its magnetic power. So that's not, you know, if you think about it on a science level, you say, well, that's not good because things can get into our Earth now, like asteroids and stuff like that. The actual magnetic north is moving really fast. I think it's up to like 50 to 60 kilometers a year that it's moving towards Siberia. And then there's a massive weak spot over the Atlantic and into South America. Okay, I had to pause you because of that horn going off. All right, so anyway, so they say you can do the research yourself too. And what I do is, I had this 10, 12 years ago, I had this awakening, and I experienced stuff like this. So without any study, without any ever hearing anything about chakras and energy centers and magnetic fields of the body and all that, I experienced it, and I was like, whoa. And then when I would start to research around, I was like, okay, I get what they're saying, I understand this. But for me, I actually lived it. I just didn't have some esoteric knowledge. I lived it, and so I experienced it. So what I did is I shifted my life. Well, I didn't have to shift it too much, but I shifted my life to align to that purity and that sacredness and that awesomeness. Not intellectual knowledge, but knowledge that I actually went through and experienced and knew what my body is and what it was and what it should be. So again, with the scientific, you put the science together with the ancient texts or what I went through, and this is what I come up with, and that's why I'm speaking what I speak now. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct, but I know that there's a lot more levels to this than just what they say or what people say. On another scale, when I was talking about the magnetic field moving and the anomaly over South America and in the Atlantic Ocean where it's really weak, and you can read about this, science has proven this. So that's really interesting to me, because to me, when I hear the word Atlantis, I think of a worldwide ancient civilization, probably a mass continent in the Atlantic Ocean that stretched towards England and Africa and also towards America and South America. And if you think about it, there's a North Atlantic ridge there, and now this anomaly is there, and all the weakening magnetics is there, and then all the stuff that happens magnetically in the Bermuda Triangle, and this magnetic shift, the sun shift, and all evolution. If you put it all together, we repeat cycles. And then there are evolutionary leaps. So that's why I'm making this video a little longer today, because I just want to explain that thing. Because if a person that comes across chemtrails and just sees my video and says, oh yeah, they're poisoning the sky and with this, and that. Well, you got to think beyond that, and you got to like literally look at it rationally. If they were to be doing that, how are they doing that, and how are they keeping themselves from harm and stuff like that, you know? But you don't want to go into all stuff like that. You just want to look at it, understand it, and honestly, if you don't study the ancient world and you don't awaken your heart and your mind and you see into like what we are, you have to know, what are we? Why are we on this planet? What animates our minds? Because we don't animate from just a brain. What animates our brain and our body and our thoughts and our feelings? Well, consciousness, right? Consciousness, right? And then you have to look into energy fields of plants, of the Earth's magnetic field, of the core, of the ionosphere, the sun. Everything is connected as one. And when you put that together, here's one right now. When you put that together, now when you watch that short video, like I said, that plane is following a very perfect pattern of where that little guy went. And remember, and when you see that video, right about, here's this guy, right about here, when I shot that video, you'll see it was only about that big, the chemtrail thing, the contrail. Now look at it. So what are you going to tell me about atmospheric pressure? You're going to tell me that, oh, well, it was warmer that day on that plane. Well, I'm 30 to 45 minutes later. It didn't change in temperature. It's the same height. You'll see it on the video. You know how you could tell? When it comes across here, look at my roof line, and you'll be able to tell. I just can't stand liars and people lying to me. I've been lied to since I was a kid, and I'm so tired of being lied to on all levels. But when you look at this, and you see this, where's my finger? When you see this trail going, look how long that is compared to where that other plane stops. I mean, this could be a half a mile already. I mean, I don't know how to judge it in the thing, but it could be like a mile long, that trail right there. Absolutely all the way to here. Now I'm going to take you on the other side. And like I said, I can't stand being lied to. So here's a perfect example. The exact same height, the exact same line that other plane went. Now what they do is, and I'm not saying that everybody makes up lies, like, well, let's lie and keep making up lies. Some people just their minds are just so programmed, so conditioned, that they can't think of anything else. So they purposely go against anything that could expand their consciousness, and they'll make up anything to fit that. And you might say, well, what are you making up right now? Well, I'm not making it. I went through experiences, and I take what I'm seeing, I'm taking what I saw in the other video, and I'm putting my spiritualness and awareness along with the science and what I'm actually looking at. Look at how long that is. Exact same pattern. Exact same pattern, exact same height, exact same area, 45 minutes later. Now you compare that with the one in the 1 minute video that's linked to this. Let me go on the other side and see how long the trail is. Okay, so there it is. And look at that. See what I mean? Come on now, man. Stop lying. I can't stand people. Some people just lie because they I don't know, they're just programmed. I don't even know if they're human anymore. They just don't even know how to answer or reflect. And yet they have the most amazing, like intellectual ability, like all the math skills that I don't have that they have, and all the technical skills that they don't have, but they can't rationalize things or understand spirit. They're so technically in their mind and bound that they can't think with their hearts or expand upon anything. Like their scientific, mathematical mind, whether it's a regular human being or an actual professional in a field, their first thought is like, cancel out everything that they've said. I have to look at this in a scientific way. Well, you can't. You'll never figure it out in an all scientific way. And you can't figure it out in an all spiritual way either, like Jesus this or Buddha that or Krishna this. No, it's a spirit science, it's consciousness, it's an unlimited creational source of sacred vibration of sound and light. And it's a science and a spirit. So if you're all religious and spiritual, you're stuck. If you're all religious and scientific, you're stuck. You know, and that goes for everything. When the people do the UFO thing, if it's just one way of a UFO thinking, or one way of this thinking, or chemtrail thinking, or how they built things thinking, you got to think of different vibrations and cycles and different spirit science and consciousness and stuff. And that's it. I'm glad I took a little long on this video because it gave me the opportunity, like the creator is saying, look, here you go, an exact same line. Boom. Now you can show that video to all those aeronautical and military and all these other atmospheric people that will give 5 different descriptions, but then skirt around the real issue of everything. Here's your exact line, your exact height, your exact angle of everything. Compare it. What happened in the atmosphere? They'll make up something, right? Oh, there was an atmospheric anomaly. That's what their favorite buzzword. It was an anomaly of the atmospheric, blah, blah, blah. Which, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of atmospheric things that could happen, but we're looking right at it right now. We're showing you. All right. I hope this helps anybody, even if one person watches this and says, okay, that makes sense. Let me go research the magnetic field of the Earth and magnetic north. Is magnetic north really shifting? Is the magnetic field really weakening? What's going on with the sun? Some people don't even know that there's cycles of the sun. Like if my parents, they would be like, what? The sun has a magnetic flip and it goes through a solar minimum and solar maximum? They have no idea. And 90% of the population has no idea. And they want you not to know anything. So like, go check that out. Go research it. I took my compass and I checked. I haven't checked in about 5 years, so I checked my magnetic north, and it moved over, like, let's say from 12 o'clock. Well, here, this is west, and that plane is actually flying. Hey, that's just a perfect example. This plane is actually flying in north, and you know what? I'm going to show you with my compass. That plane is absolutely flying north, and I know that because I aligned my crystal bowl formation one time to due north, and it's off. It's off now. It's off by, well, I can show you, it's off by about a half an inch. So let's say if you're looking at it on a clock from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, it's between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, the arrow now, slightly towards 1. So it did move, just like the science shows. Okay, so there's magnetic north, and there's true north, and some other north. You have to look it up on your own. So you see where that arrow is kind of bouncing back and forth. So picture, well, to the left of the arrow would be right where it was just now. Slightly to the left would have been like, say, 12 o'clock. Remember what I said, 1 o'clock would be where this finger is? So it moved. It would have been, I'm going to use this thing right here. It was a line like this. See how it moved? It's wanting to go to the right of my fingertip a little bit. But this thing right here is what north used to be. Like that, in there. And now it's more like that. So it has moved. It has moved. It's interesting. It's really awesome. So just real briefly, let me see if I can. So real briefly, do some research. You know, geological data of catastrophes over the past, the Younger Dryas, magnetic fields of our bodies, the Earth, the sun's change. Look why science says the sun has changed white. But again, you need spirit and science, not just science and not just spirit. Do all the research of the things I talked about. Quiet your lives down, clean your diets up, be as pure as you can be, get out in nature, meditate, and you'll see. You'll come up with experiences. You'll have dreams maybe. Maybe you'll have a vision. Maybe you'll have some experiences like me and other people had, where you actually experience all this within your body. And when I say experience, I mean energetically, light, all kinds of amazing things. Sort of like near-death experiences. Like, I was a light, and I was in this giant light, and the giant light spoke to me, and I was one with the light, but I was still a little separate aspect of light. Like those kind of things. And then you'll understand what I'm speaking of. And it needs to be understood if humanity wants to awaken and as a species wants to thrive and get back to a wonderful state of being, a state where we don't spray our skies, a state where we don't make buildings that rot and rust away, and wires and all this harmful radiation from all our technologies and stuff like that. All right? All right, lots of love to you. Love yous. Bye-bye.